Welcome to Shadowing English.
Listen, learn, and improve your English effortlessly. Speak like a native.
Welcome, everyone. Today isn't just about learning English. It's about experiencing it. Forget boring textbook lessons. This is real-life English, the kind you hear people speaking every day. If you're tired of being afraid to speak up, if you feel stuck in a rut, if people make fun of your English, if you think you're too old, it's too late, or you're just too nervous, then this video is definitely for you. Because I believe something that maybe no one has told you yet. Your English isn't broken, it's just been quiet. And today, we're going to wake it up. Over the next hour, I'm going to take you through 12 powerful real-life scenes, moments you encounter every day. You'll learn how to talk about your morning, your weekend, your birthday, your job, your city, your feelings, even your pets. But more than that, you're going to learn how to think in English, how to feel confident, how to speak naturally, and how to enjoy the whole process. You don't need huge grammar books. You don't need to memorize 1,000 words. You just need one thing, a small habit of listening, speaking, and feeling the language, like you're going to in this video. So listen with your heart, speak with your voice, and most of all, believe that you can do this. Let's dive in. Scene 1, morning routine. I open my eyes. It's 6:45 a.m. The alarm clock already went off like 3 times, but I didn't even hear it. I slowly sit up, rub the sleep from my eyes, and stretch my arms way out. My room is so quiet. Outside the window, I can hear a few birds chirping and a car driving by. It's a brand new day, and I feel pretty tired, but I know I've got stuff to do. I drag myself to the bathroom and look in the mirror. My hair is a total mess, and my eyes are still half closed with sleep. I splash my face with some cold water, and then I grab my toothbrush and say to myself, okay, let's get this day started. As I brush my teeth, my mind starts racing. What's the plan for today? Do I have a meeting? Did I even reply to that email? Too many thoughts all at once. But I take a deep breath and say, one step at a time. Just gotta take it easy. I head to the kitchen and put some water on the stove to boil. It's tea time. While I'm waiting, I wipe down the counter a little bit. Then the water starts boiling, so I make my tea, add a splash of milk, and take that first sip. It's hot and strong, just the way I like it. Next, I open the fridge. There's some bread and butter in there. I pop the bread in the toaster, spread on the butter, and sit down at the table. This moment is so peaceful. I slowly drink my tea and eat my toast. I don't even check my phone. I don't rush at all. I just sit there and whisper to myself, thank you for this day. After breakfast, I glance at my to-do list. Send email to boss, finish report, pay electricity bill, call mom. I smile and say, all right, I've got this. Then I walk over to the closet and pick out my clothes for the day, a clean shirt, dark jeans, and my favorite watch. I get dressed, and I actually start to feel ready. Before leaving the house, I take one last look in the mirror. This time I smile. You look okay. I say. I grab my bag, take one last sip of tea, and step out the door. The day has officially begun. Scene 2, going to work. It's 7:35 a.m. I walk out of my house, lock the door behind me, and take a deep breath of fresh air. The sun is just starting to rise. The air is crisp, and the street is pretty quiet. My shoes make a soft sound as I walk toward the bus stop. I get to the corner where that same old tea stall is always open. The guy behind the counter smiles at me. He always says, morning, sir. Your usual? I smile back and reply, yep, 1 coffee, please. No sugar. He nods and gets right to it. While I'm waiting, I overhear two people talking behind me. One guy says, "The traffic was just brutal yesterday." The other guy replies, "Tell me about it." I was stuck for like 45 minutes. I turned slightly and joined the conversation. "Yeah, I was stuck too. It's always the same on Mondays." We all laugh a little bit. The coffee's ready. The guy hands me my cup and says, "Careful, it's hot." I thank him and take a slow sip. The first sip really wakes me up. Strong, spicy, just perfect. After finishing my coffee, I walk over to the bus stop. There's a young woman already standing there. She's holding a file in her hands and dressed really nicely. I nod politely and say, "Morning." She replies, "Morning." We stand there in silence for a few seconds. Then she turns to me and says, "Hey, do you know if bus number 34 has already come by?" I check my watch and say, "I don't think so. It's usually running about 5 minutes late." She smiles and says, "Thank you. I'm heading to a job interview. My first one." I nod and reply, "Good luck. You'll do great. Just speak with confidence." She laughs nervously and says, "I'll try. I'm still working on my English." I say, "You're doing fine. Everyone starts somewhere. Don't worry about it." Just then, the bus appears down the street. She sees it and says, "Oh, there it is. Thank goodness." We both get on the bus. The driver says, "Exact change only." I take out my card and tap it. She hands over her money and finds a seat near the window. I sit down next to her and say, "So, what kind of job are you interviewing for?" She replies, "Receptionist. It's in a small office. Basic work, answering phones, greeting clients." I say, "That's a great place to start, and you get to practice your English every single day." She smiles and says, "Yeah, that's my goal, to improve my English and become more confident." The bus starts moving slowly. We pass a really busy market. She looks out the window and says, "Do you take this bus every day?" I reply, "Pretty much. I work in a marketing office near Metro Plaza." She nods and says, "Oh, that's near my interview location." Then she turns to me and says, "Can I ask you something? How did you learn to speak so naturally?" I smile and say, "I used to be so afraid to speak. I made a ton of mistakes." People laughed, but I just kept going. Every morning on this bus, I listened to English podcasts. I repeated sentences in my mind. I just didn't stop. She nods slowly. "That's inspiring. I hope I can do that too." I reply, "You already started. Just keep going." Suddenly, the bus driver calls out, "Metro Plaza stop." I get up and say, "This is my stop. Good luck again." She smiles and says, "Thank you, and thank you for the encouragement." I wave and step off the bus. As I walk toward my office building, I think about that short conversation. I remember how scared I used to be, afraid of speaking, afraid of being judged. But now, I'm helping someone else feel a little braver. That's what growth looks like. Scene 3, at the office. It's 8:55 a.m. I walk into the building, swipe my access card, and get in the elevator. The doors close, and I'm alone for a moment. I take a deep breath and whisper to myself, "Let's make today a good day." As the elevator goes up, I quickly run through my mental checklist. Emails, morning meeting, the report I didn't finish yesterday, definitely got a lot to do. I step out on the 7th floor, marketing department. The office lights are already on. Some people are at their desks, and others are in the kitchen area making coffee. I say good morning to the first person I see. "Good morning, Alex." He turns and smiles. "Hey, morning. You're early today." I chuckle and say, "Just trying to be productive before the chaos starts." He laughs. "That's smart. Coffee's still hot if you want some. Thanks, I say, and I walk over to the break area. As I pour myself a cup, I hear two co-workers chatting behind me. Sophie says, I was on Zoom until 10 p.m. last night. Jen replies, again? You work way too hard. I turn and say, wow, Sophie, that's some dedication. She smiles and says, or poor time management. Still figuring that out. We all laugh. I walk back to my desk with my coffee, open my laptop, and take a deep breath. Just then my manager, Thomas, walks by. Morning, Leo. Can I see you in my office for 2 minutes? Sure. I reply, feeling a little nervous. I follow him into his office. He closes the door and says, I read your client report from last week. I sit up a little straighter. Okay, he continues, and I just want to say that was solid work, especially the section on customer feedback. It was detailed, practical, and really sharp. A wave of relief washes over me. Thank you, I say. I was worried it might be too much detail. He shakes his head. No, that's exactly what we need. You've improved a lot since you first started here. I nod and say, I've been trying to work on my communication. English used to be my biggest fear. Thomas looks at me seriously and says, I didn't even know that, honestly. You speak clearly and confidently. That's what matters. I smile and say, I used to write everything down, and I still do sometimes, practice phrases, repeat sentences. It really helps. He replies, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. It shows. Then he adds, one more thing. I'm assigning you to the presentation next week. My heart skips a beat. The one for the European clients? He nods. You'll lead it with Sophie. I think it's time you took the lead. I pause for a second. I want to say no. I want to say I'm not ready. But I remember the old me, the one who stayed quiet in every meeting. And I say, I'll do it. I'll give it my best shot. He smiles. Good. That's what I like to hear. I leave his office and go back to my desk. Sophie walks over with her coffee and says, so, I heard we're teammates now. I laugh and say, looks like it. Presentation for the big clients. She says, you'll do great. Just speak slowly and clearly. You already sound super professional. I reply, thanks. I've been practicing. I even talk to myself at home sometimes. She laughs. I do that too. My cat thinks I'm crazy. We both laugh. Then I open my laptop and start planning, slide by slide, word by word, sentence by sentence. Because I know every conversation, every small effort, every practice session, it all adds up. I wasn't born speaking fluent English. I didn't grow up with perfect grammar, but I showed up every day. And now I'm speaking, sharing, leading. And so can you. Scene 4, weekend plans. It's Friday afternoon. The clock on the wall says 3:17 p.m. The office is pretty quiet, but you can feel the weekend energy in the air. Emails are slowing down. People are starting to smile more, and you can hear chairs moving, phones clicking, and someone quietly humming a tune. I close my laptop, lean back in my chair, and take a deep breath. Then I hear a voice behind me. Hey, Leo, got any exciting plans a weekend? It's Emily, my co-worker from the creative team. She's holding her coffee and smiling like she's got a secret plan already. I turn around and say, nothing too exciting. Maybe just sleep for 12 hours straight. She laughs. Sound like heaven, but seriously, do anything fun? I think for a moment. Well, I say, I might go hiking on Saturday. There's a trail just outside the city that I've been wanting to try. Emily nods. Hiking? That's cool. Alone or with friends? I'm going with Daniel and Michelle. I reply, we planned it last month, but the weather was awful. This time it looks good. Just then, Daniel walks over, tall, energetic, always hungry. Did someone say my name? He asks, grinning. Emily rolls her eyes playfully. We were just talking about your big hike tomorrow. Daniel says, oh yeah, I've been looking forward to it. I even bought new hiking boots. Super expensive, but totally worth it. I say, let's hope they don't fall apart on the mountain. Daniel chuckles. If they do, I'll just sit down and wait for you to rescue me. Emily laughs. That's not how hiking works, Daniel. Then Michelle walks in, hearing the laughter. She says, let me guess, Daniel's already making excuses not to hike? He raises his hands dramatically. False accusations. Michelle laughs and says, anyway, I can't wait. Nature, fresh air, and finally a break from screens. I nod and say, exactly. I just need to disconnect. No emails, no messages, just trees, birds, and long walks. Emily leans against the desk and says, that actually sounds amazing. I might try something new this weekend, too. Like what? I ask. I signed up for pottery class, she says. Daniel smirks. Pottery? Like making bowls? Yes, Daniel, Emily replies. Making bowls and plates and whatever I want. Michelle smiles. That sounds peaceful. I think it's great to do something creative outside of work. Emily nods. I just want to try something that's not digital, you know? Something real. Something with your hands. We all pause for a second. Then I say, that's the thing about weekends. They remind us that we're not just workers. We're people. Michelle nods. I agree. We spend all week typing, talking, solving problems. The weekend is the only time we can actually feel human again. Daniel jumps in. Except when your mom asks you to fix everything in the house. We laugh again. I say, that's true. Every time I visit my parents, suddenly I'm the tech guy, the grocery guy, the electrician, and the taxi driver. Emily adds, same here. I love visiting home, but it's never relaxing. Then I say, but still it's home. We all go silent for a moment. Michelle changes the topic. What about Sunday night? Any Sunday plans? Daniel says, I'm cooking. I promised my girlfriend I'd make dinner. I'm still searching for a recipe that doesn't end in flames. We all laugh. I say, start with pasta. You can't go wrong with pasta. Emily adds, unless you forget the salt and cook it for 40 minutes. We laugh again. Michelle looks at her watch. Okay, I need to send one last email before I can escape this place. Daniel says, I'm already mentally out the door. Emily finishes her coffee and says, enjoy your weekends, everyone. No overthinking, okay? Just live. I smile and say, that's the plan. Scene 5, birthday celebration. It's Saturday evening. The living room is quiet, but only for a moment. Suddenly, the door bursts open and 5 people rush in, carrying bags, balloons, and a box of decorations. Emily says, okay, we have 1 hour before Leo gets here. Let's move it. Michelle drops her bag on the couch and says, where's the tape? I need to hang this banner. Daniel holds up the cake box and says, I'm not moving until someone clears a space for this masterpiece. Jenna laughs and says, you mean that lopsided cake you bought at the last minute? Daniel raises an eyebrow. Excuse me, this is a handcrafted double chocolate fudge cake made by professionals. Sophie says, let's just hope Leo doesn't drop it like last year. Everyone laughs. The room quickly transforms into a party zone. Balloons on the walls, streamers across the ceiling, snacks on the table, soft music playing in the background. Michelle says, do we have candles? Jenna replies, Yes, and a lighter. But who's going to switch off the lights when he walks in? Sophie says, I will. I'm closest to the switch. Daniel looks around and says, Guys, I can't believe we're doing this the third year. It feels like yesterday. Emily smiles and says, Time flies, but some friendships are worth celebrating. The clock strikes 7:30 p.m. Michelle whispers, He should be here any second now. They all go silent. Then the door slowly creaks open. Leo walks in, holding a small bag of groceries. He looks around and says, Why is it so dark in here? Suddenly, surprise, the lights come on, and everyone yells, claps, and laughs. Leo drops his bag and freezes, half smiling, half shocked. What is this? He asks. Emily steps forward and says, Happy birthday, Leo. We didn't forget. Leo looks around at the decorations, the cake, the music, the people he loves. I thought you guys were all busy, he says. Daniel walks over and says, We were busy planning this. Leo laughs. You didn't have to do this. Sophie says, That's exactly why we did it. Michelle hands him a birthday hat. Put this on. It's tradition. He puts it on and says, I can't believe this. You made my whole week. Emily lights the candles and says, Make a wish and don't say it out loud. Leo closes his eyes, smiles quietly, and blows out the candles. Everyone claps again. Daniel cuts a piece of cake and says, Okay, open your mouth. We're feeding you first. Leo laughs and takes a bite. Wow, he says, this is really good. Daniel proudly says, Told you, a masterpiece. They all sit down together on the couch. Jenna says, So, how does it feel to be older? Leo replies, Honestly, I feel lucky. Not because of the birthday, but because of all of you. Michelle adds, You're not just older, Leo. You're wiser, stronger, and definitely more emotional. He smiles and says, I used to hate birthdays, too much attention. But this is different. Emily says, This is not about attention. It's about appreciation. Sophie adds, You show up for everyone. You work hard. You never ask for anything. So today we show up for you. Leo sits back, touched by their words. Daniel says, Now open the gifts before I take mine back. Leo laughs. There are gifts too. They hand him small, wrapped boxes. Nothing expensive, just thoughtful things. A new notebook, a mug that says keep going, a framed group photo from 2 years ago. Leo opens the last box and finds a handwritten note. He reads out loud, Dear Leo, you may think you're just ordinary, but to us, you're the reason Mondays feel better. You're the one who reminds us to keep going. And today, we want you to know you matter. Happy birthday. Leo looks up, his eyes slightly wet. He says, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Emily replies, Just promise us one thing. Leo asks, What? Michelle smiles and says, Don't ever disappear on your birthday again. He nods. Deal. They raise their glasses. Sparkling juice, soda, whatever they have. Daniel says, To Leo. Everyone echoes, To Leo. And just like that, a simple evening becomes a moment they'll remember forever. Scene 6. Talking about your city. It's Sunday afternoon. The cafe is half full. The weather outside is beautiful. Soft clouds, warm light, and a quiet breeze rustling through the trees. Leo sits near the window, sipping an iced coffee, with a notebook open in front of him. He's working on a personal project. Something about memories. Then the door opens and a familiar voice says, There you are. I thought you'd be late. It's Julia, his old friend from college, back in the city after 3 years abroad. Leo smiles and stands up. I'm never late for coffee, especially when the person's been missing for 3 years. Julia laughs and hugs him. It's good to see you again. They both sit down. Leo asks, So, how does it feel to be back? Julia looks around and says, Strange. The city looks the same, but it feels different. Leo nods. That's because you've changed. The city didn't. Julia smiles and says, Maybe, or maybe I just forgot how loud it is here. They both laugh. Leo stirs his coffee and says, You remember that street near the river? They've built a new bridge. It looks amazing at night. Julia raises her eyebrows. Really? We used to walk there after class. I remember the old lights, the broken benches. Leo replies, Those benches are still broken. Some things never change. Then Julia says, Tell me something. If someone asked you, what's the best thing about the city, what would you say? Leo thinks for a moment. The rhythm, he says. The city doesn't sleep. It moves fast, but somehow it also listens. Julia leans in. Listens? Leo nods. Yeah, like it lets you cry without asking why. It lets you dream without laughing at you. You can be invisible or you can shine. Your choice. Julia sits quietly for a moment, then says, That's beautiful. I never thought of it that way. Leo looks out the window. You know what I love most? The sound of the early morning, when the streets are still quiet and the sky is just starting to wake up. You hear one bird, one car, and the soft sound of life returning. Julia smiles. That's poetic. Leo replies, It's real. She sips her drink and asks, What about food? What's still your favorite thing to eat here? Leo grins. The street corn with lemon and salt. Still unbeatable. Julia laughs. You haven't changed. He replies, Neither has the vendor. Same spot, same smile. Julia says, I miss the night markets, the lights, the music, the smell of fried food, the people, all kind of people. Leo replies, They're still there, crowded as ever, but now they play soft jazz on Fridays. It's calmer, warmer. Julia leans back in her chair and says, I've lived in 5 cities in the last 3 years. Big ones, fancy ones, clean, fast, rich. But they didn't feel like this. Leo asks, Why? She answers, They had roads but no stories. They had buildings but no people. Not like here. Here the walls speak. Leo smiles and says, That's what I always tell travelers. If you want to see beauty, visit a postcard city. But if you want to feel something, come here. Julia says, I wish more people knew this. Leo replies, That's your job now. You've seen the world. Now you tell it what home really means. They sit in silence for a moment. Then Julia says, Let's take a walk. I want to see everything again. Leo closes his notebook and stands up. Let's go. I'll show you the new bridge and the old trees and the same cafe where we used to sit with no money and big dreams. As they leave the cafe and walk into the city, the scene slowly fades, but the conversation stays in the heart. Scene 7, grocery shopping. It's late afternoon. The sky is cloudy and the wind is gentle. Leo puts on his jacket, grabs a reusable shopping bag, and walks toward the local grocery store. He doesn't really love shopping, but today he feels calm, slow, ready to enjoy the little things. As he steps inside the store, the door opens with a soft chime. Bright lights, soft music, the smell of fresh bread fill the air. A young woman is near the entrance, stacking apples. She looks up and says politely, Good afternoon, sir. Let me know if you need any help. Leo smiles and replies, Thank you. I'm just looking around for now. He grabs a small cart and walks down the first aisle. Fruits and vegetables. He picks up an avocado, checks its softness, and says quietly to himself, Still hard. Not ready yet. Suddenly, someone taps him on the shoulder. It's Daniel, his friend from work. Daniel says, "Leo, you shop here too?" Leo replies, "I do now." What a surprise. Daniel points at Leo's cart and says, "That's the healthiest cart I've ever seen. Are you planning to open a salad bar?" Leo laughs, trying to eat better. Fewer chips, more colors. Daniel holds up a pack of cookies and says, "Well, I'm here to destroy my diet. These are my weakness." They walk together to the... Okay, here's the American English translation and rewritten version of the text, expanded and deepened as requested. I always get stuck here. So many options. Whole wheat, multi-grain, sourdough. What do you usually buy? Daniel said, surveying the bread aisle with a slightly overwhelmed expression. Leo considered the question for a moment. Depends. For toast, I always go with sourdough. For sandwiches, I stick to multigrain. It just holds up better, you know? Daniel nodded slowly. You sound like a bread expert. I'm impressed. I usually just grab whatever's closest. Leo laughed, a warm, genuine sound. Too much YouTube cooking, I guess. That's all it is. They continued walking, their footsteps echoing softly in the otherwise quiet store. Leo stopped near the dairy shelf, his eyes scanning the various cartons. Hey, do you know if almond milk is actually better for you than oat milk? I keep hearing conflicting things. Daniel paused, thinking. Oat milk is definitely creamier, that's for sure. But almond milk is lighter, lower in calories. Honestly, you should just try both and see what you like best. Leo, ever practical, grabbed both cartons and tossed them into the shopping cart with a soft thud. A moment later, Daniel snapped his fingers, a look of mild annoyance on his face. Ugh, I always forget one thing every time I shop. It's like a curse. Leo chuckled, shaking his head. That's why I make a list, my friend. Seriously, it's a lifesaver. Daniel pulled out his phone, scrolling through it. I make a list too. The problem is, then I forget to actually check it. It's a vicious cycle. They both laughed, the sound bouncing off the shelves. An older woman nearby, her own shopping cart overflowing with groceries, overheard their conversation and smiled warmly. Story of my life. Every single week, she commented, her eyes twinkling with amusement. Leo smiled back at her, a friendly, open expression on his face. I think it happens to everyone, at least occasionally. Then, turning back to Daniel, he asked, You know what I actually love about shopping, though? Daniel raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. No, enlighten me. Besides the obvious joy of spending money, what's the appeal? Leo paused, searching for the right words. No, it's not about that. It's the small moments. A quiet song playing on the speakers. A stranger's smile. A child laughing way over in aisle 3. You're alone, but you're not lonely. You know? Daniel looked thoughtful, his expression softening. You always see the deeper side of things, don't you? I swear, you could find or found meaning in a bag of potato chips. Leo shrugged, a self-deprecating gesture. Life teaches you things, man. When you slow down, you start to see them. It's all about slowing down. They walked onward, toward the meat and frozen food section. Daniel visibly grimaced. I usually avoid this part. Too much plastic. It makes me feel guilty. Leo nodded in agreement. Yeah, I try to buy fresh when I can, support local farmers, all that. But sometimes convenience wins, I'll admit it. Frozen peas are a lifesaver on a busy weeknight. At the checkout, a young cashier with bright eyes and a friendly smile greeted them. Hello, did you find everything okay today? Leo replied, Yes, thank you. Everything we needed and a few things we didn't, I think. Daniel put his cookies on the counter, adding with a grin, And I definitely found things I didn't even need, but who's counting, right? The cashier smiled, efficiently scanning the items. Do you need any bags today? She asked. Leo replied quickly. No, I brought mine. Always do. He held up a reusable tote bag to emphasize his point. Trying to reduce waste, you know? She nodded approvingly. That's great. Thank you for doing that. Every little bit helps. As they waited for the transaction to complete, Daniel looked around the store, a pensive expression on his face. You know, I used to absolutely hate grocery shopping. It felt like such a chore. Now it actually feels kind of like therapy. Leo smiled knowingly. I think it's because we're not rushing anymore. We're actually taking our time, enjoying the experience. Daniel considered this for a moment. Maybe we're finally growing up and appreciating the simple things in life. Either way, I'll take it. They paid for their groceries, thanked the cashier, and walked outside into the afternoon sunshine. The wind felt softer now, carrying the scent of blooming flowers. Even the bags felt lighter. Somehow, Daniel turned to Leo, a curious expression on his face. So, what are you cooking tonight? Inspired by all this culinary talk, I hope, Leo replied. Vegetable stir-fry, maybe with a little soup on the side. Something healthy, something comforting. Daniel raised an eyebrow, teasingly. Wow, you're officially an adult. Stir-fry and soup on a Sunday? Who are you? Leo laughed, a carefree sound. Only on Sundays. Don't get any crazy ideas. They waved goodbye to each other and walked in different directions, each heading home with their respective groceries. As Leo walked, he realized he didn't feel tired or drained. He felt full, not just with the prospect of a good meal, but with a sense of peace and clarity. Sometimes the simple moments, the soft music, the small talk, the smell of oranges in the produce section, that's where the real life hides. That's where the magic happens. Scene 8, ordering food at a restaurant. It was Friday night, 7:15 p.m. The restaurant was bustling, a hive of activity, but not overwhelmingly loud. Warm, inviting lights cast a soft glow on the scene. Soft music played in the background, a gentle counterpoint to the clinking glasses and quiet conversations that filled the air. The tantalizing smell of garlic and grilled vegetables wafted through the room, promising culinary delights. Leo walked in, accompanied by Emily and Daniel, his two closest friends. They'd all just finished a long, grueling week at work, and they promised themselves one thing: no cooking tonight. A well-deserved break, a chance to relax and recharge. A waiter near the door, impeccably dressed and radiating professionalism, smiled warmly and greeted them. Good evening. Table for 3? Leo nodded in agreement. Yes, please. We have a reservation under the name Miller. Right this way, the waiter said, gesturing for them to follow. He led them through the crowded restaurant to a table near the window, offering a pleasant view of the street outside. Daniel immediately appreciated the location. Nice view. You can see the whole street from here. Perfect for people watching. Emily, ever practical, replied, I'm just here for the food. As long as it tastes good. I don't care if I'm sitting in the kitchen. They all sat down, sinking into the comfortable chairs. The waiter handed them menus, each one bound in elegant leather. My name's Alex, and I'll be your server tonight. Let me know if you have any questions about the menu. We have some specials tonight as well. I'll be back to tell you about them in a moment. Leo said, Thank you, Alex. We appreciate it. The waiter walked away, leaving them to peruse the menus. Daniel opened his, scanning the pages with a slightly bewildered expression. This place is fancy. Everything has a name I can't pronounce. I feel like I need a translator just to order a salad. Leo laughed, shaking his head. Just pick something with chicken. You can't go wrong with chicken. It's a safe bet. Emily, meanwhile, was carefully studying the menu, her brow furrowed in concentration. I'm craving something creamy, maybe pasta, but I also want something spicy. It's a dangerous combination. Leo teased, a mischievous glint in his eyes. You want creamy and spicy? That's a dangerous combination. Emily, you're playing with fire. Emily smirked, unfazed. Life is short. I'm willing to take the risk. Daniel, still struggling with the menu, pointed to something with a questioning look. What is tagliatelle al limon? Is that even a real thing? Leo, ever the culinary expert, said, it's pasta with lemon cream sauce. It's delicious, trust me. Light, refreshing, but still rich and satisfying. Daniel replied, his decision made. I'm ordering that. It sounds expensive. They all laughed, the sound mingling with the general ambience of the restaurant. The waiter, Alex, returned to their table, notepad in hand. Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes? Leo said, can we ask a few questions first, Alex? Just to clarify a couple of things. Of course, Alex replied, his expression patient and helpful. Ask away. Emily asked, is the spicy chicken pasta very spicy or just a little bit? I'm not looking to set my mouth on fire, but I do want some kick. The waiter said, it's medium on the spice scale, but we can definitely make it mild if you prefer. We can adjust the level of heat to your liking. Emily nodded, satisfied. I'll take it medium. Then, and can I get that with whole wheat pasta, if that's possible? Absolutely, the waiter replied, making a note on his pad. No problem at all. Leo said, I'll have the grilled salmon with roasted vegetables. And could you add a side of mashed potatoes? I'm feeling a bit indulgent tonight. Sure thing, Alex replied. Anything to drink? Just water for me, Leo said simply. Daniel said, I'll try the tagliatelle al limon, please. It sounds amazing. And a glass of iced tea, he added. The waiter smiled, clearly pleased with their choices. Great choices. I'll be right back with your drinks. He walked away, heading to the bar to place their order. Daniel looked around the restaurant, taking in the atmosphere. This place feels so peaceful. It's exactly what I needed after the week I've had. Emily agreed. I like restaurants that don't rush you. Some places make you feel like you have to eat fast and leave, like they're trying to turn over the tables as quickly as possible. Leo nodded in agreement. Here it feels like time slows down. You can actually talk, connect with the people you're with. Daniel replied, that's what I need after this week. Meetings, emails, pressure. I just want to eat good food and breathe, you know? 10 minutes later, the waiter returned with their drinks, carefully placing them on the table. Your food will be out shortly. The kitchen's working hard to get everything perfect for you. Leo sipped his water, enjoying the coolness against his parched throat. Emily said, you know, I used to be so nervous ordering food in English. It was a real source of anxiety for me. Daniel looked surprised. Really? I never would have guessed. She nodded. I'd panic, especially when they spoke fast or used unfamiliar words. I'd just point to something on the menu and say, this one, it was so embarrassing. Leo said, I used to do the same thing. I was afraid they'd ask questions I couldn't understand. It was easier to just play it safe. Daniel laughed, shaking his head. I still panic when they ask, soup or salad. My brain freezes. I can never remember which dressings they have. They all laughed, sharing a moment of camaraderie and understanding. Emily said, but the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You build confidence. You learn the common phrases. You get used to the accent. Leo added, it's not about speaking perfectly. It's about staying calm, being polite, and getting your point across. even if you stumble over a few words. Daniel said, exactly, and learning a few key phrases that work in almost any situation. Like, can I ask something? Or, what's in this dish? Those are my go-to phrases. Just then, the waiter returned, carrying a tray laden with hot, fragrant food. Here we go, he announced, carefully placing each plate in front of them. This is the spicy chicken pasta for you, he said to Emily. Grilled salmon with vegetables for you, Leo, and tagliatelle al limone for you, Daniel. Daniel looked at his plate, his eyes widening in appreciation. This looks amazing, almost too good to eat, Emily said, inhaling deeply. That smell, wow. This is exactly what I needed. Leo took a bite of his salmon and closed his eyes for a moment, savoring the flavor. This is perfect. Cooked perfectly, seasoned perfectly. I have no complaints. They ate slowly, enjoying each bite, talking more, laughing often. Halfway through the meal, Daniel, caught up in the conversation, accidentally dropped his fork. It landed with a loud clang on the floor, momentarily disrupting the peaceful atmosphere. The waiter, Alex, came to their table quickly, his expression concerned. Are you okay? Did you need anything? Daniel said, feeling slightly flustered. Sorry, my hand slipped. I'm so clumsy sometimes. No problem at all, the waiter replied reassuringly. Accidents happen. Let me bring you a clean fork right away. Leo said, shaking his head in amusement. You handled that way better than I would have. I would have turned bright red and wanted to disappear under the table. Daniel shrugged, unconcerned. I've embarrassed myself so many times in restaurants. I stopped caring a long time ago. You just have to laugh it off and move on. Emily said wisely, that's the secret. Just enjoy the moment. Don't sweat the small stuff. The waiter returned with a new fork, placing it on the table next to Daniel's plate. Here you go. Enjoy the rest of your meal. Thank you, Daniel said sincerely. After they finished their main courses, the waiter returned to their table. Would you like dessert? We have some wonderful options tonight. Leo replied, patting his stomach. We're all pretty full, but maybe we'll share something. A little something sweet to end the meal. Emily asked, What do you recommend? What's your specialty? The waiter said without hesitation, Our homemade chocolate lava cake is our most popular dessert. It's rich, decadent, and served warm with a scoop of vanilla ice cream. Daniel said, his eyes lighting up. You had me at chocolate. Lava cake it is. They ordered one chocolate lava cake to share. It arrived a few minutes later, a molten chocolate masterpiece, oozing with warm, gooey goodness. They each took a few bites, savoring the richness and sweetness. They laughed about nothing in particular. They told stories about their week, and they smiled more than they had all week. Later, the waiter brought the bill, placing it discreetly on the table. Leo said, reaching for his wallet, I'll cover it tonight. It's my treat. Emily and Daniel protested simultaneously. No way. We can split 3 ways. Daniel said firmly, We always split it. It's the only fair way. Leo said, Next time you can pay. Consider it a rain check. They laughed again and finally agreed to split the bill evenly. They left the restaurant feeling full, not just with food, but with a sense of contentment and well-being. As they walked under the warm glow of the streetlights, Leo said quietly, You know, good food tastes even better with the right people. It's all about the company. They all nodded in agreement and continued walking home, smiling, their hearts full. Scene 9, talking to a new friend. It was Sunday morning, the city stirring slowly to life. Leo entered a local art gallery alone, seeking a moment of peace and quiet. The gallery was bathed in soft, natural light, sunlight pouring into the large glass windows. Soft music played in the background, creating a tranquil and contemplative atmosphere. He walked slowly from one painting to another, taking his time, allowing the art to wash over him. This was his way of resetting his mind, escaping the pressures of the world, by being surrounded by stillness and colors. He liked to get lost in the details, to find new meanings and interpretations in each piece. At one of the larger abstract pieces, a swirling canvas of blues and grays, he heard someone next to him say softly, "Sometimes I look at art and feel nothing. It's just paint on a canvas. And then one piece just stops me. It resonates with something inside me." Leo turned to see who was speaking. A woman stood beside him, holding a small notebook in her hand, her eyes focused intently on the painting. She seemed thoughtful, introspective. He nodded in agreement, understanding exactly what she meant. "I know what you mean. This one, it feels like chaos, but soft, like a storm contained." She smiled, her eyes sparkling with understanding. "Exactly. Like a storm that doesn't want to destroy anything. Like a powerful force holding itself back." There was a pause, a comfortable silence, as they both continued to contemplate the painting. Then she turned to him and said, "I'm Ava." Leo responded, extending his hand. "I'm Leo. Nice to meet you. Ava." Ava said, "Do you come here often, Leo? I've never seen you here before." Leo replied, "Not often. Only when I need to hear myself think. When the world gets too loud, I come here to find some quiet." She laughed lightly, a pleasant melodic sound. "That's a good reason. I come here when I need to stop thinking. When my mind is racing, I find that art helps me to slow down and focus." He smiled, appreciated her honesty. "I guess we're opposites. Then, you come here to stop thinking. I come here to start thinking." She nodded, gesturing toward a nearby bench. "Want to sit? We can contemplate the meaning of life, or just chat about the art." They sat side by side on the bench, leaving a comfortable space between them. Ava said, "So, Leo, what do you do? I mean, when you're not decoding abstract paintings." He replied, "I work in marketing. I help companies tell better stories, connect with their audiences. It's all about communication, finding the right message." She said, "Ah, a storyteller. That makes sense. You have a way with words." "And you, Ava?" Ava said, "I'm a writer. Well, trying to be. I teach part-time at the local college and write when I can find the time and inspiration." Leo said, "That's brave. Putting your thoughts and feelings out there for the world to see. That takes courage." Ava looked surprised. "Brave? I never thought of it that way. Maybe, or maybe I'm just afraid to speak out loud. So I write instead. It's a safer way to express myself." He said, "I used to be like that. Afraid of speaking English, afraid people would judge my mistakes, my accent. It was a real barrier for me." She asked, genuinely curious, "What changed? How did you overcome that fear?" Leo replied, "I stopped chasing perfection. I realized that it's okay to make mistakes. I started chasing connection, focusing on communicating my ideas, rather than worrying about grammar and pronunciation." Ava leaned forward, her eyes shining with interest. "That's beautiful. Stop chasing perfection. Start chasing connection. Do you mind if I write that down? It's really resonated with me." He laughed, a warm, genuine sound. "Go ahead. Be my guest. I don't have a copyright on it." She wrote in her notebook, carefully transcribing the phrase. Then she looked up and said, "You seem very comfortable with people, very confident. It's admirable." Leo replied, "Only after I stopped trying to impress them. When I stopped trying to be someone I wasn't, I found it easier to connect with others." She smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile. Do you believe strangers can become friends in one conversation? That you can form a meaningful connection in just a few minutes? He said without hesitation, yes. If they're honest, if they're willing to be vulnerable, if they're open to the possibility. She nodded slowly, absorbing his words. Ava said, I moved to this city 6 weeks ago. I don't know many people yet. It's been a little lonely, to be honest. Leo replied, well, you know one now. Consider me your official city guide. I can show you all the best coffee shops and bookstores. She looked at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you. That means more than you think. It's nice to know that someone cares. A brief silence fell between them, a comfortable, companionable silence. Leo said, breaking the spell, so, what do you write about? What kind of stories do you tell? She replied, real things, silence, shame, small victories, conversations that don't go anywhere, people who feel too much, the messy, complicated stuff of life. Leo said, that's what the world needs. More honesty, more vulnerability, more stories that reflect the human experience. She asked, turning the question back to him, what about you? Do you love your job? Do you find meaning in the work you do? He paused, considering her question. I like it. It pays the bills. It challenges me. It allows me to be creative. But I love moments like this more. Moments where two people meet for the first time and just talk, connect, share a little piece of themselves. She smiled deeply, her eyes crinkling at the corners. Ava said, you make it sound simple, like it's the easiest thing in the world. Leo replied, it is. We just forget how. We get so caught up in our own heads, our own worries, that we forget how to connect with the people around us. They sat there for another 10 minutes, talking about everything and nothing, about books they loved, places they missed, dreams they hadn't told anyone else yet. Then Ava said, checking her watch, I should go. I have a class to teach. I'm already running a little late. Leo stood up with her, a hint of regret in his voice. Ava said, I'm glad I came today. I was feeling a bit down, but this conversation has really lifted my spirits. Leo said, me too. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your time with me. Ava took out a small card from her purse and handed it to him. My email, in case you want to share a story sometime, or just grab a cup of coffee. Leo took it, carefully tucking it into his pocket. I will. I like that very much. They smiled at each other, that quiet, grateful kind of smile that comes from a genuine connection. As she walked away, Leo watched her go, not with sadness or longing, but with something peaceful inside him. Because sometimes in this world of busy schedules and loud distractions, two people pause long enough to say, I see you. And that's where friendship begins. Scene 10. Family dinner conversation. It was Sunday evening, the end of another week. The house smelled like warm food and fresh bread, a comforting and inviting aroma that filled the air. The kitchen was full of sound, dishes clinking, the oven timer beeping, soft music playing in the background, a symphony of domesticity. Leo walked into the dining room, carrying 2 bowls of salad, carefully balancing them in his hands. His mother was setting the table, arranging the silverware with meticulous care. His father was pouring water into the glasses, a picture of quiet competence. Emily, Leo's younger sister, walked in holding her phone, her attention seemingly divided between the real world and the digital one. She said, is dinner ready, or do I have time to post this picture? The lighting is perfect. Leo smiled, shaking his head in amusement. Post it after dinner, or you'll eat cold food, and then you'll complain that I never make good food. His mom chuckled, a warm, familiar sound. Emily said, fine, but food pictures get more likes when they're hot. It's a scientific fact. They all sat down at the table, a familiar ritual that brought them together each week. Leo's father said, "All right, let's eat before it gets cold. Your mother has been working all day for you guys." They began serving themselves quietly, passing around the dishes. Pasta salad, roasted vegetables, and garlic bread. For a minute, there was silence, broken only by the sounds of chewing and contented sighs. Then Leo's mom said, "So, how's your work going, Leo? I know that you've been working so hard lately." Leo replied, "It's been a bit stressful, to be honest. A lot of deadlines. A new client came in last week, throwing everything into chaos. But I am okay, don't worry." His dad asked, concerned, "And are you handling alone? Are they giving you any support?" Leo nodded. "For now. But I'm learning a lot. That's the good part. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow." Emily said, rolling her eyes slightly, "You always say that even when things are clearly falling apart. You have a way with turning something negative into a positive." Leo replied, shrugging, "Because that's how I survived them. If I didn't find something positive in every situation, I'd be a complete wreck." His mom looked at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of pride and concern. She said softly, "You become stronger. I see it. You're more resilient than you used to be." Leo smiled, appreciating her words, but didn't say anything. Then his dad said, "I wish I'd spoken like you when I was younger. I was afraid to talk, afraid to be wrong, afraid of what people might think. You're like you don't fear anything." Leo looked up, surprised by his father's confession. He said, "I used to be like that too, especially in English. I'd stay quiet in meetings, not because I had nothing to say, but because I was scared to say it wrong. I didn't want people to judge me." Emily asked, genuinely curious, "What changed? What made you find your voice?" Leo replied, "I stopped trying to sound perfect. I started trying to be real. I realized that authenticity is more important than eloquence." His father nodded, understanding. He said, "That's not easy, especially in front of people. It takes guts to be yourself, to be vulnerable." Leo said, "But silence was harder. It kept me small. It kept me hidden. I didn't want that anymore." His mom put her hand gently on his, a gesture of love and support. She said, "We're proud of you, Leo, not just because you work hard, but because you're becoming the kind of man people can trust. The kind of man who stands up for what he believes in," Emily said teasingly, "and the kind of brother who always washes the dishes after dinner." Leo laughed, shaking his head. "Let's not go too far. I'm not a saint." They all laughed together, the sound filling the room with warmth and joy. Then Emily said more seriously, "You know what I love about these dinners? What makes them so special?" Leo asked, "What?" She replied, "We sit, we talk, no phones, no rushing. Just us. It's a rare thing these days." Their mother smiled, her eyes twinkling with affection. "I wait for this all week. No matter how tired I am, I cook. Not because I have to, but because I know you'll all sit here and talk. That's what makes a house feel alive. It's the sound of connection." Leo said thoughtfully, "People don't realize how powerful dinner time is, how important it is to make time for family, to share a meal, to connect." His father added, "It's not about the food. It's about the space to breathe, to speak, to feel seen. It's about creating a sense of belonging." They all went silent for a moment, the kind of silence that feels full, not empty, the silence of shared understanding, of unspoken love. Then Emily said softly, "I wish more families did this. I wish everyone could experience this kind of connection." Leo replied, "Maybe one day, when we have our own families, we'll do the same. We'll carry on the tradition." His mom said, "Teach your kids to listen, not just speak. Teach them the importance of empathy, of understanding other people's perspectives. His dad said, and tell them it's okay to speak slowly with mistakes, but with truth. Tell them that honesty is more important than eloquence. Leo finished his food and leaned back in his chair, feeling content and grateful. He said, I used to think learning English was about grammar and vocabulary, but now I see it's about courage, about finding your voice, about expressing yourself authentically. His dad looked at him, his eyes filled with pride. And you found yours, Leo. You found your voice, and you're using it to make the world a better place. Leo smiled, appreciating his father's words. Still finding it. It's a work in progress. But every dinner like this helps. Every conversation, every shared moment makes me a little bit stronger, a little bit more confident. They all began clearing the table. Still talking, still laughing, still connected. Leo stood at the sink with Emily beside him, drying the plates. She said, remember when we used to fight about who would do the dishes? It was the ultimate sibling rivalry. He replied, grinning, we still do. You just let me win because you know I'm better at it. They laughed, a comfortable, familiar sound. Emily looked at him seriously, her eyes filled with affection. You're a good brother. Leo, I don't say that often, but it's true. You always look out for me. You always support me. You always make me laugh. Leo said, smiling warmly, you're not so bad yourself, sis. You're pretty cool for a younger sibling. And that's how the night ended. Not with fireworks, not with big moments, but with dishes, laughter, stories, and the quiet beauty of being home. Scene 11, buying clothes. It was Saturday afternoon, a beautiful day with clear skies and a gentle breeze. The weather outside was cool and perfect for walking, making it a prime shopping day. Inside the mall, the air was bright, clean, and full of energy. People were talking, music was playing, and shoppers strolled by carrying bags filled with their latest purchases. Leo walked into a large international clothing store with his close friend, Ava. She was on the hunt for a dress for an upcoming event, and he was simply along for the ride, offering his support and, hopefully, helpful advice. But as often happens, he ended up finding something for himself as well. A sales associate greeted them at the door with a warm smile. Welcome. Let us know if you need any help finding anything. We have some great sales going on today. Leo nodded politely. Thanks. Just browsing for now. We'll let you know if we need anything. They started walking slowly through the store, past shelves of neatly folded shirts, racks of jackets, and sections with shoes and accessories. The sheer variety of clothing was almost overwhelming. Ava paused in front of a rack of dresses, her eyes scanning the selection. She picked up a deep blue dress, holding up to the light. She asked, turning to Leo, what do you think? Is this too formal? Too boring? Leo replied, studying the dress with critical eye. I think if you don't buy that dress, I might. It's stunning. The color is perfect for you, and the cut is so flattering. She laughed, playfully swatting him on the arm. Flattery will get you nowhere. I need an honest opinion, not just empty compliments. Then she pointed at a coat hanging on a nearby rack, a simple black coat with a sharp, clean design. You should try that one on. Leo, I think it would look great on you. Leo walked over and looked at it, his fingers tracing the lines of the coat. He touched the fabric, feeling its quality. This actually feels nice. I haven't bought a new coat in years. A store assistant, noticing their interest, appeared nearby, ready to assist. Hi there. Would you like to try that on? It's one of our most popular styles. Leo said, Yeah. Is there a fitting room available? I haven't tried on clothes in forever. The assistant smiled, happy to help. Yes, right this way. We have several fitting rooms available. Leo followed her to the fitting room area. The assistant opened a curtain, revealing a small, private space. "Let me know if you need another size or anything else," she said, gesturing to a call button on the wall. Leo nodded and stepped inside, closing the curtain behind him. A few minutes later, he emerged, wearing the coat. Ava looked up from her phone and said, her eyes widening in surprise, "Wow, that's it. That's your coat. You look amazing." Leo looked at himself in the mirror, turning from side to side. "I'm not sure. It feels a little dressy. I usually just wear a hoodie," she said, shaking her head. "Trust me, it fits your energy. It elevates your whole look. You need this coat." He turned and checked the back, adjusting the collar, then said, "Okay, I actually like it. It's surprisingly comfortable." The assistant returned, checking on their progress. "How does it feel? Is it a good fit?" she asked, her eyes assessing the coat on Leo. Leo replied, "Good. A little snug around the shoulders." "Do you have one size bigger?" she said. "Let me check. I'll be right back." The assistant disappeared to search for a larger size. While the assistant was gone, Leo and Ava sat on the small bench in the corner of the fitting room area. Ava said, "You're not used to shopping for yourself, are you? You always put other people first." Leo shrugged, uncomfortable with the observation. "I never saw the point. As long as I'm clean and comfortable, I'm fine. I don't need fancy clothes." She smiled, a knowing expression on her face. "But the way you dress also tells the world something. It's a form of self-expression." Leo replied, "I never thought of it that way. I dress the same every day." Ava replied, "Like how you see yourself." Leo went quiet, considering her words. He'd never really thought about the connection between clothing and self-perception. Then he said, "I guess I've always been afraid to be seen. Afraid of drawing attention to myself." Ava looked at him kindly, her eyes filled with understanding. "You're seen, Leo. You're a good person, a kind friend, a talented professional. And it's okay to dress like you belong. It's okay to embrace your own style." Before he could reply, the assistant returned, carrying a larger size of the coat. "Here's the next size. Want to try it on?" Leo said, "Yeah, thank you." He took the coat and went back into the fitting room to try it on. Leo tried the larger size, finding that it fit much better, allowing him to move more freely. He came out and showed Ava, turning around for her inspection. She said, without hesitation, "That's it. That's you. The fit is perfect." Leo looked in the mirror again this time. He smiled. Not just because of the coat, but because of the moment, because of the connection he felt with Ava, because of the realization that it was okay to embrace his own style. He turned to the assistant. "I'll take it," she said, beaming,